Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer too. I'm half crazy.
All for the love of you. It won't be a stylish marriage. I can't.
Hello, Cubanwriter here with Darkling Faye.
Hello.
And today we're here to talk to you about a recent release of a DC Universe animated film, which we caught on Amazon, called Teen Titans: The Judas Contract.
Dun dun dun.
And this was a very interesting experience for me. I used to avoid the Teen Titans years ago when I was a little bit younger, because I'm kind of averse to seeing children put in adult situations. And the idea of creating a team of children to constantly risk their lives and possibly get killed rubs me the wrong way. I was a little more amenable to Young Justice because the teenagers were at least pretty old. Like they ranged from 16 to 18, I think.
It's funny that we think 16 to 18 is old, but okay.
Well,
I guess in comic book world.
Well, not just comic book world, but that's when we start letting people go into the military. Like, you can get a waiver to join the military before you're 18 from your parents and go off and fight and possibly die. So, I still don't like it, but it's a little more mentally acceptable for me to see 16 to 18-year-olds going out and forming a superhero team. But the Teen Titans were like 13, 14-year-olds. And I'm like, I don't want these 13 and 14-year-olds out there fighting crime and potentially getting killed. That's terrible. It's the same objection I have to some of the Robins that are
I was going to say, yeah. So here's a spoiler alert for you guys. Spoiler alert. What's the one comic book character that Cubanwriter doesn't like? Robin.
Well, it's not the only one else.
No, but it's a pet peeve of his. He's like, I don't like Robin. I don't understand why so many people do. He just doesn't like to see kids put in weird. It's also strange when you think about it, especially the character of Robin, who is kind of a kid, but all the adults seem to be okay with putting him in life and death situations. It's a little weird.
There was one comic where Batman tried to, I think it was a comic, where Batman tried to explain why he trained Robin and had him fight crime. And it was basically so that he could resolve his issues younger and not turn into him. But I don't buy it. It's just a bad idea.
Yeah, it's bad writing in that one.
I did like Kick-Ass, the movie Kick-Ass, even though there was a girl being put into a situation well above her age. But it's also because they showed that was terrible. Like, they didn't shy away from showing that her whole life had been kind of ruined.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The successful resolution of the movie, the first film, was that she got to enter a normal life. And that was the happy ending. So the happy ending isn't when Robin and Batman fight the foes and win. The happy ending is when Robin gets to be a kid. And that's what we should hope for. So the Teen Titans baseline rub me the wrong way and make me uncomfortable. But this movie took things a step further.
So I will say I haven't watched a lot of Teen Titans before going into this. I have liked a lot of the animated Batman series that they've done. I really liked the Dark Justice that we saw recently. So it's like, oh, they're going to come out with this. It's new. It's like, let's watch it. Like, it'll be interesting and fun. And I'm hoping it'll be interesting and fun. So let's do it. Let's take a chance. Let's rent it and let's do it when it comes out. Let's do this thing. And we watched it. And I will admit, I was a little horrified. So, the Dark Justice was a very dark take on the animated world of Batman.
Yeah, and I ate it up because guess what? It was adults in adult situations.
Exactly.
Horrifying adult situations, but, adults.
So that I was like, okay. And I liked that it was totally an adult show. It wasn't meant for kids in any fashion. And so I liked that. Teen Titans, I'm not sure. To be honest, do you think it was young adults for the audience group?
Well, what's weird is the original Teen Titans TV show was totally for kids. Like, it wasn't written in a way that would attract adults. I mean,
Okay.
I'm sure some adults loved it, but It wasn't targeted to adults. It was targeted for children. Even the animation style was clearly meant to appeal to children. This was drawn for adults, and some of the content was disturbing.
I was going to say, so I wasn't, like, after watching this, I can't even still say if I know what the target audience age level that they were going for. I don't know, but I will agree with you. This is not exactly what I thought it was going to be. I liked the idea and the premise of the plot that it was. But I was a little uncomfortable. This is going to be a spoiler alert one. There's not going to be a non-spoiler review of this. We're just going to go full spoiler.
Yes, perhaps some of you with young children will want to know about this before you let them see it.
So the entire plot of this is the Teen Titans are a group that are overseen by 2 adult superheroes. Yes. You have Nightwing, who used to be the leader of the group. Right. Now is, like, I guess, second in command.
I really think he's just the boyfriend helping out.
But they still look up to him and still kind of, he does help train them too as well. And then the leader of the group, I don't know her superhero name.
Was it Starfire? Oh, geez. I'm going to edit this part out because I don't want people to know what a lame nerd I am. Hold on. Yeah, the leader's Starfire.
And then, so they're the adults, the 2 adults in the group that are kind of running this, I guess, training, or I don't know what to call this group of the Teen Titans, who are made up of young kids of various ages. They don't really tell you what the ages are, but some of these guys are not.
They look like they range from maybe 12 to 16. But it's hard to tell because Beast Boy was in the original Teen Titans, and so was Robin. Somehow, Robin grew up into Nightwing, but Beast Boy still looks just like a year or 2 older than he was. So I'm not really sure how old these characters are supposed to be.
Yeah, that was part of my thing too. But I definitely want to say some are at least 12 to 13. So it's not exactly an age range that I feel comfortable even seeing them put in these life and death situations, regardless of if they're superheroes or not. But it's not just the, I guess, life and death situations. They do go on missions. They have their own, almost like a Tony Stark tower where they get to hang out and they live. So it's this group of superheroes that are overseen by a couple adults. And does the government hire them?
No.
They just do it on their own?
Well, I think in this universe, the government just accepts that there are these good superheroes, probably Justice League affiliates, who save the world periodically.
Okay. It wasn't really known where they were getting all of their, I guess, toys and tech and all that from.
I feel like the superheroes in this realm are self-motivated, self-directed, and they probably supply themselves with most of the stuff. Remember, there's a lot of billionaires in the group. Like Batman supplies them.
That's true. The group, I guess, that they're in this particular thing going up against a lot that seems to be trying to is kind of a cult-like group.
Brother Blood leads a cultish group of evildoers to do some nefarious things that aren't well defined.
Lies. My church is a holy place, and we strive only to do good.
He hires I guess assassin is the best way to say it, a hitman that he hires to take out Teen Titans.
Yes.
And one of the Teen Titans is actually working for the assassin without them knowing it. Dun, dun, dun! Yes. There's a spy in their group.
A Judas.
Who would have known if only the title of this film would have told us that there was a Judas in the group?
Yes, but she's not getting paid with 20 pieces of silver. Her price is something different.
Love. She wants love.
Yes, sexual love from the assassin.
Who's I don't know.
He's got to be in his 40s at least.
50s. I was going to say late 40s, early 50s. And it's creepy.
Yes, there is a young teen hidden among the Teen Titans, posing as a loyal member of the group. And her motivation for betraying them is that she wants that sweet, sweet love from her father figure deep inside of her.
It's creepy.
There is a whole scene where she tries to convince him to quickly take her while this young teen is wearing lingerie and enough makeup to outfit a clown.
It is the creepiest thing I have ever seen. And I've seen some terrible stuff on the recommendation of Cubanwriter. And this is creepy.
Now, here's what we can say that's good about this evil assassin.
He's not a pedophile.
He's not a pedophile. He betrays her by not making love to her and turning her over to the bad guys.
I mean, he does manipulate her from start to finish.
Yes, but he never had any intention of sticking his thing in her.
Yay, there's not that.
I can't tell you how relieved I was that that was the case.
It's so creepy.
But here's the problem. I really liked it if you just took that aspect out of it. Like, maybe if she had been working for him because she wanted a father's approval instead of she wanted her father's dick.
I was going to say, the weird thing where this just went into a weird place no audience member felt comfortable with. Like, it feels uncomfortable while you're watching it. It's not done in any way that would make anyone feel comfortable with that scene where she does dress up and they put so much makeup on, and it's animated too. So it's like you clearly can see she is over makeuped, weird lingerie, but it would have been a good story without that. And I thought it would have been better if it was something that she just felt this was the first person in her entire life that accepted her. You can see in her origin story and flashbacks that whatever town or place that she came from, they thought very superstitiously. So anyone that had any kind of, I guess, mutant powers or anything that you can't, I don't know in this universe if you can call them mutants, inhuman, non-human.
I don't know. I think everyone has a different origin in the DC universe because they don't have something like mutants.
Yeah. But, magical type things. They wanted to stone her. They thought she was a witch. Very kind of backwards type of thinking. You would have thought she was back in Salem,
right,
with the witch trials.
Yeah.
And here comes this person who comes along and saves her from a town that is willing to kill her, people that she grew up with that was supposed to be her community, right? So he comes and saves her, trains her, says, no, there's something special about you. You're great. It would have made much more sense if it really was just a father figure. This is the first person in the entire world that actually saw value and worth in me. So, of course, I'm going to be loyal. Why wouldn't I follow them?
Right.
But why would you want to have... I mean, they show her pretty young when he found her. I want to say around 10 to 12. And so she's not like that much... older in the film. Obviously he spent some time training her, and then she spent a year because she has her 1-year anniversary in the Teen Titans. So she's not that, terrifically older than when he found her. And it's like, it just was weird that you go from like, you're like my one parental, I mean, like maybe 14?
Maybe 15. But still.
I mean, I just...
It was creepy. And it's my one reservation of recommending this film for viewing by children or adults who care about this kind of thing, is that adults, one aspect.
Adults who like children in any way don't watch. Yeah.
Unless you like children too much, then this
No. No, that was my biggest problem. And that was what was so disappointing, because I felt the film would have been better without that.
It was actually a good movie.
I liked the premise of it. The writing was pretty good. it made sense how they put these kids in this type of situation where they all were, you're in that awkward teen years already, and now you have like these powers and abilities, whether you were born with them or there was an incident or an accident that happens and now you're granted them, which has seemed to be some of the kids they were born with, some of them they actually got them because of an incident or event, and how they struggle with that.
Yeah, in a way there's a lot of similarities between the X-Men concept and the Teen Titans concept.
Correct.
Because you have adults who are helping people with powers and ushering them into society and teaching them to be good people.
But it just, without the whole sexualization, pseudo-pedophilia type thing that came up, it would have been so much better of a story, and you could have been okay with the story.
You know what it reminded me of is in the film Leon, where Natalie Portman was a little girl and she became attached to an assassin.
Yeah.
And then there came to be a part of the film where she became attracted to Leon, the assassin. But he kind of shut that down. I don't know if in the original French version or the original French screenplay, he was going to shut it down because, quite frankly, the French are a little more comfortable with uncomfortable things than we are. But in the version of the movie I saw, he pretty much shut that stuff down right away. And then it was supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. It did make you feel uncomfortable. He did the responsible thing, and the movie moved on. In this one, the guy's like, oh yeah, I'm totally going to fuck you. You just hang in there, and as soon as we're done, I'm bending you over and giving it to you hard. And I was like, oh. I mean, he doesn't use those exact words.
I was going to be like, he never in any way...
He didn't use that explicit language. I am embellishing for the purposes of this podcast. I emphasize in order to illustrate the discomfort I felt at the situation.
Well, now we all feel that discomfort tenfold. Thank you.
You're welcome, audience. So, I don't know whether to recommend or not recommend. I would say if you are watching this with children, don't do that.
No.
If you are an adult, it is a good movie, but just be aware that there's this uncomfortable sexual situation that's suggested in the middle of the movie that made me squicky.
Yeah, and it does throw kind of a wrench in the entire thing where you just have a really hard time getting over that because it is such a big plot point. She is like the I guess not a double agent, but she is like the sleeper agent. She
is a double agent.
Okay.
Isn't she? Well, no, a double agent is when you think you're a secret agent and they're really the other guy's
secret.
So she's just an agent.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
She's a spy in their midst. She does end up betraying them. There are some good parts where she does kind of struggle with betraying them because she really hasn't ever felt accepted in her life. You do get to see the other Titans, the kids, kind of struggle with trying to figure out their own place and and now that they have abilities, how does that work? And they still want to be accepted. And so you got to see the one who had the beetle or the...
Oh, yes. I really liked Blue Beetle's little subplot. He's apparently dealing with a parasitic alien infestation that's giving him his powers. It's caused him to become estranged from his family. That was a nice little... It
was nice because his family, like his dad especially, doesn't really accept the abilities that he has with this beetle.
And the beetle... The parasitic infection didn't like his father either. So
well, I mean...
It's not all on his father.
No, but I mean, like, you can kind of sense if one's being accepted or not, and that's probably, they're feeding off the...
Negative energy.
The negative energy, emotions and stuff. So it was interesting to see that he was, like... wanting to volunteer for a group because it reminded him of his family life that he had before. So that was kind of nice to see where he's struggling with these powers and abilities and where he comes into play. And even the Blue Beetle was especially interesting because he's trying to grapple with accepting... it's almost like they have a symbiotic relationship, him and the beetle. Yeah. The beetle, he has to figure out how to work with the beetle, and the beetle kind of has to figure out how to work with him as well, because he needs, he needs to be able to be him, and he also needs the beetle. So that was kind of interesting to see. The Beast Boy was also interesting because he was the one that was born with his abilities. So he didn't have to he never had that before and after. Like, this was my life before the event, and now this is my life after. He was always who he is. So you get to see him more comfortable with his own abilities and how he has more of that fun type of personality.
Yeah,
he's more laid back and relaxed because he's
a little too comfortable, Mr. Beast Boy. You do not gain a girl's affections by turning into a weird animal and crawling on her.
No, I mean, it's true, but, it makes sense when, in the age he is. You got to see Raven, who was dealt with her dad's demonicness and having to
she's
deal
been
with
a
it.
dark magical presence on the team since the old days when I was much younger.
Each one got to grapple with their own things and trying to be accepted and work together as a group as well in a way that was really interesting. But the whole over-sexualizing of a young teen kind of does come really quickly into the whole plot of this film. So it's really hard to get back on board with what you were enjoying about it and to continue enjoying about it.
I will say this. They had real consequences to the events of the movie. I like it when movies have real consequences. Bad things happen to people and they don't get out of it.
No, and that, again, that's why I don't think it's necessarily for a younger audience. It definitely is geared towards, I guess, maybe a young adult to adult audience. Because you're right. There's not a lot of happy endings to it.
Thank God.
I don't want to... Oh, you're terrible. But they don't do the 30-minute sitcom where they wrap everything up at the end in a nice bow and... Right.
There's some sadness and some loss at the end of the story. Their victory comes at a price.
And it's good to see where they have that in an animated kind of cartoon world. You don't always get that, especially from cartoons that you think about typically when we were growing up.
Yeah.
There's always nothing really bad ever truly happened.
Even the bad guys when I was a kid couldn't have something bad happen to them.
Yeah.
And G.I. Joe, when they shot down a Cobra airplane, you always saw the people parachuting out. And I'm like, come on, guys, really? 100% of all people always parachute out of their planes?
Yeah. Hello. So it was good to see that they kind of stuck with an ending that made sense and didn't go for making it non-logical. It really did have kind of satisfying to that end, but just trying to get through some of the uncomfortableness throughout, it's really hard to get over it. Like, they do such a in-your-face job with it that I don't know if I would say it's worth watching because of it. I guess if you go in knowing that you're going to have an uncomfortableness with it, you'll be better prepared for it. But I don't know if at the end, if it still then ends up being an enjoyable film to watch.
I guess what I would say with this is this movie is worth 4 out of 5 stars, but depending on your sensitivity to the issue of the sexualization of children, it may lose a couple of those stars and then not be worth watching.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd say you're pretty accurate with that assessment of it.
And well, on that note, and hoping for more movies with less sexualization of children in the future, but I would like to see more in this vein.
I do. I mean, this is kind of a nice thing where you do get to see more of animated shows and cartoons and stuff made for more adult stuff, but just not this adult.
Not squicky.
It's true.
And so, on that note, this will be Cubanwriter signing off, and Darkling Faye.
Goodbye, darling.
We'll see you next time.
But you'll look sweet upon the seat of a bicycle built for two. Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer due. I'm half crazy, all for the love